I didn't expect such a turnout with the lesbian views on the video I made about lesbianism and feminism being of Satan. And I thank you to those of you who are wise enough to see that I am a prophet. And I'm through arguing with people whose IQ's under, say, 150 or something, because you just waste my time, as countless people pointed out, especially on that Trayvon Martin video. There was hundreds of people that are pointing out that I'm much more intelligent than the people I'm arguing with in comments, especially the ones who are just throwing names out there. I mean, that just doesn't even come close. So, why is there such a gap of insight and intuition and understanding that I have as compared to other people? It's interesting that what we were talking about today. I'm not gonna really get into it that much, but we touched on the fact that you can't really teach artificial intelligence or a program intuition, and that we're working on that and in the technology field or whatever. So to me, I can't teach the average person to be intuitive enough to know that I'm a prophet and to know that I'm more insightful than them. And I can't expect people who can't even see past the fact that, okay, I don't know how to do some things. Like, I don't know how to fly a plane. I don't know how to do rocket science or brain surgery, etc., etc. So, being a prophet, I don't have to know everything. Me being smarter than, a lot of people I argue with doesn't mean I know everything. A lot of people, I've had, some of the stupidest things I've heard in my entire YouTube experience was that people were saying to me that if you're so smart, then why don't you do this? If you're so smart, why don't you do this? Look, I'm way smarter than you idiots who are saying these kind of things. There's no question about that. You're a bunch of fucking morons, a bunch of dumbasses who wouldn't understand anything. And if you went to where I live, it would take me about 3 years to explain to you how I live and why things are the way they are out here. If I took you to the neighborhood where I claim, where I gangbang at, it would take me years to explain to you. I mean, how many times did I have to explain to people, that I could beat them at a fight, and then I went to the ring, and then I beat them at a fight? I mean, how many people, the football player, the boxer, the martial artists, all the 10 fighters. So, all my life I was faced with people that didn't have as much capability of intelligence and war, the capability of physically harming somebody that I do, and being the only gang leader in my city that it really has nationwide recognition and really is recognized in jail, etc. It was really hard for me to really relate to anyone in the first place. And when I'm really, even if there was other gang leaders, or respected members of the gangs, really I took myself from being a respected member of the gang community, an older member, to being a leader strictly through, exerting my influence. I saw the people that were holding me back. I got rid of them. I saw the opposition, neutralized it, and now they're a bunch of, talk behind my back little bitches instead of trying to get in my way. I gave them over 3 years to meet me at the store. I told them this is where I shop, this is where I go. Everybody who argued with me in the comments, I went there. They didn't meet me. So over the years, it was shown and proven that I am the spiritual leader of the Crips in the South Bay, San Jose, Morgan Hill area. And all the other guys who would come close do not assume that role of authority. They do not assume this kind of universal role. They assume this kind of big brother role in their neighborhood. This kind of overseer role in their neighborhood. So I just felt that I had to speak on these kind of things because there's a lot of misunderstanding. And do I think I'm better than some people? I believe that this personally, what I believe and what God has shown me is that I'm closer to God than pretty much everybody on this planet. And I honestly believe that. And it doesn't have to do with my race or anything like that. It's really it's because, it's like God is whispering in my ear right now. So right now I'm close to Him. He's whispering in my ear. We have a special contact. And I'm building on that to be a very great man. Me building on my martial arts skills, which I'm already like one of the best fighters in the world. Let's be frank here. I'm one of the best fighters in the world. No one else is undefeated in the ring. Look at the other martial artists; they've had their losses. You know, every point that was even scored on me, you can contest the fact that that point was even scored. I did, and I basically was gracious about it because I knew I was slaughtering everybody anyway, making a lot of people look bad. So I was gracious about that. So, you know, as far as me taking on bigger people, what do you think a football lineman is? Okay, a person that was, I was a minor. I was like what, 17 or something like that. This guy, you know, was a football lineman. So over the years, you know, perfecting martial arts, perfecting my debate on ancient Egypt and the race of the ancient Egyptians, and I still champion the point of view that the ancient Egyptians are mixed, just like I would say that the Ethiopians are mixed, that they have Arabs, you know, and this black Nubian blood mixed together, and it created this kind of light-skinned Ethiopian in many cases. And I believe that the ancient Egyptians were that same kind of had the same kind of qualities about them, where they're mixed. So as far as me feeling spite toward anybody, remember, just the other day, there was like 4 or 5 of us, and we rolled up on a couple Bloods, and they conceded my point. You know what I'm saying? Before that, I had, you know, did the drive-by. Well, I made, you know, I figured that I could say it now because if I was going to get in trouble for it, I remember reading the news for weeks. Nobody knows it was me. It wasn't even the news, okay? Basically what happened is I had a problem with somebody. They were on the list. I was having a bad day. And it had nothing to do with having a mental disorder. It has nothing to do with me just being a prick or something like that. It was me doing what I was supposed to do. And I do believe that me and my group, you know, have a divine right to commit violent acts in the name of God, as far as what He, you know, the message God gives me, the message being relayed to me. So I'll give the example of Moses killing the Egyptian, or Jesus saying he'll bring a sword, or the violent acts in Revelations when, you know, God ends the world, and, you know, the plagues He sends, and the earthquakes, etc. And the water turned to blood, so you can't drink it, etc. So I would use these examples. So as your spiritual leader, it is my duty to keep you up to date on what's been going on every once in a while, and explain to you why there's a lot less crime going on. Is because not too many black gang members want to break my decree, and the Hispanic people, you know, that's here nor there. You know what I mean? It's like I'm in charge of the Crips in the San Jose area and in the Morgan Hill area, and that's where it ends. You see what I mean? So if the Crips aren't doing anything wrong here, then I'm doing my job. Okay. And so really, I've been doing my job. I've won tons of victories. I showed the feminists the business. I showed the atheists the business. I gave the shrinks, the psychologists, the fucking eugenicists, all the abortion fucking pushers, the pro-life, you know, the pro-choice abortion pushing fucking scum, the bootlickers, the Illuminati, the Templars. I showed everybody what time it was. And all those people who accused me of being racist for being carried away, yeah. I said a few things that I regret saying, a few racist words in some videos that I made private, you know. And so, are they, you know, does that mean I'm not a prophet? Does that mean that I'm some kind of ignorant racist? It doesn't mean any of that. I am a prophet, and I'm not racist. Thank you.